Holly Hughes is here, of course, as a senator from New South Wales. She knows Newcastle so beautifully,
I
so
do.
well. Stephen Conroy, as a Labor man, knows that there's a union here and a number over there, and if you talk to that bloke, it's this other thing, and you won't have to pay for your parking. All right, lovely to see you both. Lovely to see you after the past couple of weeks. Let's talk here about what I do consider to be the number one concern in the country right now is two-thirds of the country frightened about an interest rate rise, like legit frightened now. Now, Stephen, we've talked before about whether the Reserve Bank should or shouldn't have in the past. But let's talk about where we go from here, about the types of information the Reserve Bank would be looking at right now. We know, Holly, that when they had their last meeting, of the three options, stay, up or down, they did not touch down, and they needed to basically convince themselves not to go up. We've got a lot of data since that would suggest we are going to head in an up direction. And as I told you last night, it's 150,000 people that may have to sell their house virtually straight away, another 800,000 people who go on top of the millions more who are into mortgage stress. This is the issue in Australia right now.
Absolutely. And we know since this government's come to office, everyday Australians with an average mortgage have had to find over $35,000 a year. Now, you'll hear Jim Chalmers, and I'm sure Comrade Conroy is about to give us the spiel about the stage 3 tax cuts coming through to everyone and how $40 a fortnight's making all the difference in the world. When the reality is $35,000 a year that they're having to make, and this is after tax. They didn't get a $35,000 stage 3 tax cut,
100%.
But they have to find that money. That's not the kind of coins you find down the back of the couch. So adding to that, when everything else has gone up over 9%, again, since this government's come to power, plus we have had 5 quarters of negative per capita growth, 5. So per capita growth, we are in a recession and have been for a while.
And inflation last month, Stephen, was 4%. Now, obviously, there's 3 months that all get put together. The unemployment numbers are still very low. So again, let's put the economic hat on here, and I legitimately want to look forward because there's other things I want to debate tonight, right? Of the data that is before the RBA now, and the RBA as you have seen its decision making, what's the data that would give you confidence that they won't put those rates up?
Well, I just want to repeat what Holly just said. 5 quarters of negative per capita.
GDP,
which actually says, GDP, I'm still a bit jet lagged.
That's
GDP.
right, he's been helping
and that's exactly
overseas.
why.
Well done, by the way. He goes overseas. Biden, I mean, what about that for helping? Who knew his factional power existed where he and Nancy have a little chat in Washington and old mate Biden shuffles away? We'll get to that in a second.
So Holly's actual point there about what's happening in the real economy is that it's tanking. And the Reserve Bank are responsible for it tanking. So it would be extraordinary if the Reserve Bank ignored that one simple economic fact and decided it's not tanked enough, we need to tank it some more. So the Reserve Bank like to make lots of statements.
Spending. You know,
well, look,
we've got Reserve Banks got their foot on a brake and government's got their foot on the accelerator.
Correct.
Well, unfortunately, the way budgets work is that there's this thing called spending and this thing called revenue. And what Jim Chalmers has delivered twice now is something your party couldn't do in 11 years in government, a surplus. So what that means...
Thank you, resources sector.
More money is coming out of the economy than going in. So it's great fun to say spending is a problem, but you're deliberately, mischievously, Holly, ignoring the revenue side.
All I will say is this.
And a budget surplus, and I'll...
Yeah, I was going to say, all I will say is this, right, which is, don't forget, the intergenerational report made by the same people who put the budget together, say that we will have deficits every year for the next 45 years. The next 40... So, OK, great, couple of this year, last year, slightly better, all the rest, right? But that's where we are. OK, now, Holly, let's talk about not just political responsibility, but your passion in and around the NDIS. Again, a whole bunch of hearings that are taking place right now. What's the latest on trying to learn more about how to fix this?
So there's a bill at the moment that Minister Shorten's put up, the first bill he's put up in over 2 years of government. So, you know, we've been waiting a while for some reform in this space. But the bill talks about foundational supports, doesn't qualify what they are. And there's been a secret squirrel meetings with the Prime Minister and the Premiers that they've allegedly committed to saying that they will provide these foundational supports. There's a $60 billion black hole in the NDIS without these foundational supports. So we have hearings over the next 2 days that were deliberately put together to get the states and the territories to come and talk to the committee that's overlooking this legislation to say, what are they? What do you understand they are? What are they going to cost? What are you prepared to pay? What can you stand up? So we're talking about community health speech therapy and OTs and access. So there are too many people on the NDIS. There's too many kids on the NDIS. The kids with permanent and lifelong disabilities need to be there. The kids with global developmental delays don't. But they do need something, and that's where the states are supposed to be responsible. And the states are now hiding. Now, we want to know why they're hiding. Is there something that's being held over them by the federal government to not come and speak to this committee about what these foundational support looks like? Where is this $60 billion going to come from? How is this going to work?
But also, I mean, we literally all know that all but Tasmania, they're all the same political colour, right? So the capacity for all of them to either be whipped in one direction or pulled in another is fairly obvious. But strength to your hand. Follow Holly on all of the socials to learn more about what's going to happen in the next couple of days, but incredible stuff about what's happening there.